Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for another Friday, 10 o'clock session of Connect and Share. And this is number 65 of the series that we've been bringing to you every week. Before we get going, I'd love to acknowledge our traditional owners of the people that have been before us and treated the land with due respect and interpreting for everyone's knowledge. And may that we work with our Aboriginal elders, past, present and emerging, to interpret more about the connection to nature that they understand so well, and we need to endorse in our products and our services to our guests. And to any Aboriginal people here present with us today, welcome. Quick rundown on some of the things that we would like to bring to you, and certainly the COVID situation has postponed our National Education Conference, which was due to happen in Leura this September, but it will happen September 2022. But in light of that, we're going to bring an online event to you on the 29th of September. So this has got a great lineup, a great lot of content that is very relevant for the now, to make sure that you don't have to wait until 2022 to get some of that content that you can start looking at implementing into your activities. So you can see on the screen there, we have some amazing speakers. We're so pleased to have Pasi Salberg, who is just the guru when it comes to nature play and all things outdoor education, and Sharon Goldfeld and Professor Tonya Gray, but also Shane Fitzsimmons, Head of Resilience New South Wales, with us in that panel session really early on. We're also going to have a content on ACARA and the curriculum review and what's actually happened in that process. And David DeCarvalho is the CEO of ACARA. So it's great to have him along with Janice, who's done a lot of the work, particularly in our space on the review. The OCA Summit working groups are going to come and tell us where they are up to. So if you've been following the summit and what actually happened in May this year, the outdoor sector got together and understood some of the challenges before us aside of COVID and what we needed to do to really try to make a better future for our industry. So the working groups came together and really looking at trying to make a difference in this space. So we look forward to bringing that content to you on that day. And then our last session is around nature play and outdoor learning, and having some great case studies which everyone can learn from. And we'd love to announce the OEA Awards, which is the Outdoor Education Awards, on that day as well. So if you haven't registered, please do. If you've already got tickets for 2022 event, you get this as part of your fee for that event. But if you want to join and you haven't paid for 2022, there's only a $30 charge and you can be part of the day. A quick COVID update. So the New South Wales schools are going to commence returning back from the 25th of October. If you missed this announcement, Gladys brought this to us last Friday in her press conference, and the gradual return of all years up until the 8th of November. Perhaps the most important information was around the vaccinations, and mandatory for all New South Wales school staff, support staff and teachers. And I think if I can declare to the industry at large that this really does draw a line in the sand for a lot of us. And in talking with many of our operators, they are very familiar with the need to get vaccinated, but this sort of emphasised it. If we want to continue working with New South Wales schools, it is inevitable that we will need to follow that path as well and ensure that all of our staff are safe and doing as much as they can and get vaccinated. In a conference that I attended this week with the ACT Chief Minister, it was discussed around the tourism aspect in the ACT, and I think what was really the takeaway for me from that event was his forthright approach in saying that we cannot expect visitors into the ACT for the September school holidays. And I think that is certainly something that we've got to look at our businesses, and I'm working with some of you already to plan for this, but also to maximise what's going to happen when it does start opening up, and that will be closer to Christmas as we hopefully get the vaccination rates a little bit higher. The other thing that we had this week, you might remember we touched on, we're having strategy sessions with our business owners and managers on trying to work out where we're going to head post-COVID. And so we're calling it here and after COVID, what is going to happen and what have we got to look at? So this is where the conversation ended this week. And the group are continuing to meet. We're going to meet next week and then probably every couple of weeks after that. And I encourage anyone that wants to look at the future and where they've got to position their product and their activity to join these sessions. They're incredibly useful for everyone that's been part of it. So we're looking at strategic leadership, operational leadership, and individual leadership, and what we need to do to lead by example in being proactive about the future before us. Some of the obstacles that we talked about were very relevant, but we've also got solutions and ideas around some of those obstacles. So as I say, I encourage everyone, if you want to be part of this, to certainly contact me, and it's open to all of our members to be part of these sessions. A quick announcement on our AGM. We've had to postpone it until the 11th of October. This is due to some paperwork that we are looking at with the lawyers around our new restructure. And so it's just a process that we've got to go through, unfortunately, but nothing's changed other than the date. So if you've RSVP'd, it will move to the new date. But if you haven't RSVP'd, you can jump onto our website and be part of our annual general meeting where you'll hear all the results of the last year, but what we have planned for the future as well. So yeah, we look forward to having you there. Now today, you might have seen and my background as well, is Jersey Day. And thank you for those that have come forthright with their jerseys and promoting their team colours. Jersey Day is something that's close to my heart. It's a charity group that's established after the death of a young teenager just close by to me, who his organs had saved many lives. And I think it's great that the family have put their energy behind Jersey Day to bring awareness around organ donation. And I've got a little link there. Leslie's got a link she'll put into the chat. If you haven't registered yourself, it is not through your license anymore. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So you can certainly register. It's with Services Australia, the federal body for health, and you can register easily online. So that is something that everyone can do, and you can save lives if the unforeseen circumstances arise. So yeah, just bringing awareness to organ donation today. As well as we have two fabulous speakers, well actually more than two fabulous speakers, but we're going to touch on Children's Guardian Update, what they've got for you, and bringing you up to speed on some of the rules and ideas around your protection for your staff and your visitors. And then we'll talk about the new program called Careers New South Wales. So I'm going to hand over to Harris, who's going to give us a quick update on what you guys are up to. Harris, what new they are? There it is in his jersey.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear me. Yeah, I'll just hopefully that the internet connection is stable enough to keep the video on. Thanks so much for having me this morning. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm currently on, which is Gadigal country, the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Yeah, so Laurie asked me to come along and sort of just talk to some of the resources we have available for sport in general, and obviously that includes yourselves in a great way. I don't have any slides, but I'll just talk to some of the material that we do have that anyone can access. A lot of it's online on our website as videos, and a lot of it as well you can download. The biggest one that we have is what's coming up. So next week is National Child Protection Week. The OCG is running a really large webinar for all sectors that work with kids in New South Wales. We've got some great guest speakers coming along to that from Disability Australia and also from Aboriginal Island Care. So it's all about inclusion and understanding diversity and how that impacts your service and around children's safety as well. The 4 videos that we have, one of them isn't in the sports update that was that Laurie sort of prompted me to come along to talk about, but we basically ran a series of webinars called Community Practice last year. That was run by my colleague Hope Brown, who was the previous Child Safe Coordinator in Sport and Recreation. And the first one of those was with Sarah Cohen from Swimming New South Wales. And that Community Practice webinar was all about empowerment. So ways that in practice, Standard 2 is all about empowering kids to make sure they're part of decision-making and how that process improves their safety through their confidence and what have you. Sarah has great examples in there around how they asked kids that were participating in swimming at their centres what they wanted. One of the best examples was that kids who were doing their HSC or their school certificate wanted somewhere to study after training. So it's just a really practical example around how they then created spaces for kids to study when they weren't competing or training and waiting for mum and dad to come pick them up. Another example they had was their youth swimming network. So they do a camp every year, probably not most recently, but normally in normal circumstances they would. And what they do with that is it's all around developing young athletes, and they decided to ask the athletes how they wanted to run that camp. So they asked them everything from, do you want to design some polos that you can wear on that camp? And do you want to design the activities that we're going to do? And all of that. And all the kids were involved in that whole process throughout. They even gave them cameras to run around with and take photos of everyone participating. And then they put together sort of a media mashup after the end of that camp. And it's just a really easy, simple example of around how they involved the kids who are actually participating in that in sort of how they wanted to run that camp, because typically they would run it for them instead of with them, if that makes sense. And in this instance, they really sort of empowered the young people who were participating. The second Communities of Practice forum that Hope put together was with Gymnastics New South Wales. So if you're curious about the standards and what it might look like as a whole system, Gymnastics New South Wales undertook a really extensive review of their child safe practice. And they actually have a dedicated web page on their website, and that includes all of their approaches to each of the standards and then how they're addressing each of them as well. So I mean, it's probably a lot larger than running any one camp, but in that instance, it's just an example of finding something in the sector already and copying what's there, seeing how they approached it. Their webpage is a fantastic resource. I should also say that I'll send an email afterwards with all the connection to the links and also the update in case you didn't receive that as well. The third community practice that we ran was with Scouts New South Wales. So that was actually run with Elaine Heaney, who is now the Sport Integrity Commissioner. Oh, not a sport, sorry, she's the lead safeguarding officer at Sport Integrity Australia. So she's moved on to the national body there. And that looked again at a whole system approach. So they have their CO method, which is all about culture, operations, and environment. And that's how they implement the standards in their practice as well. And also the know it, live it, log it process around making sure they have a Scouts code, making sure kids and people working with them on their camps understand the code that they must abide by, kids especially, so that they can know what's acceptable behaviour and what isn't acceptable behaviour. Logging things, so making sure that if there is an infringement that's recorded, and then making sure that you live that code as well. So not only calling out probably negative behaviours or concerning behaviours, but also the positive things that they want to see in their camps when they run those sorts of events. So that's a really great one in terms of the work that you might be doing in your approach to how you work with kids. The third one that we ran was with, the fourth one, which wasn't on the update, was more recent, and we ran that with YMCA New South Wales. What they've done, or specifically focused for that webinar, was run by myself, and we looked at their approach to safe behaviours and specifically codes of conduct, making sure that they were implementing their codes of conduct, again, not only with the people that they might hire to work with kids at their centres or when they run their camps or activities, but also making sure that the kids themselves understood through a simple graphic instead of having a lot of text around what they might need to do if something goes wrong. It was more about just acknowledging things when things don't feel right and making sure that they approach someone so that they can be taken care of if there's an issue. And that was a really interesting webinar we ran with them around codes of conduct. Another part of that webinar, it also looked at one of the resources that we have coming up for sectors in New South Wales, and those are called skill builders. So the standards, a previous session I've done with you before, we talked about the standards and how it's a large system. It's slightly like it could be quite a big change. But the approach that we have in there around skill builders is to attack specific parts of the standards instead of trying to go after everything all at once. And they'll combine a sort of an e-learning element before you attend a session that will be running face-to-face. So yeah, those skill builders are yet to come out. We're still developing those, but as soon as they're out, I'll be sending out another sports update, so you can request training through that and get along to those. They'll teach you the practical skills around developing child-safe policies and procedures, developing codes of conduct, strategies to work with empowerment. So like we did with the way that swimming did, learning from their experience. And also around reporting. So managing reporting pathways to make sure that you're telling the right people at the right time. The other thing that I'll go to, or the other video that was in that resource, was the Working with Children Check Compliance session that we ran. So we ran that with the Working with Children Check Compliance team at the OCG, and it was specifically around what are your obligations as an employer? Who needs to have a check? When do you need to verify them? What do you do specifically around if someone becomes barred? I used to work in the compliance team. We used to have to make those calls to organisations, and the most important thing is probably being courteous. Don't be shocked. It's very rare that we'll call somebody, but it's really important that you have a process in place to manage that, so that if you do get that call, and you might get a call about someone that worked with you 4 years ago, they might not work there anymore. But if you do get a call, don't be worried. Just have a procedure in place to make sure that you can reduce or remove the risk of that person working with kids while they might be interim barred, or if they are barred. That's a good thing. A lot of people don't think about that before it happens, but it's good to have that procedure in place that you can rely on in case that happens. And the other webinar we ran that was in that update was with the Reportable Conduct Unit. So Hope and myself organised it's about a 1.5 hour session to talk about specifically reportable conduct in sport and in local government. So in sport, there's not a lot of circumstances that would be considered what's called reportable conduct, which is a very specific reporting pathway. But in the outdoors and camp sector, there might be, and that's called substitute residential care. So that's when you can provide care for more than a couple days, and sort of the environment you were provided in is what they would get at home. So providing like meals and supervision and accommodation, or whatever that might be. So I'll send it, like I said, I'll send through an email with a link to our website explaining that, because it is a very specific type of reporting. There's timeframes around when you have to tell us about things and all of that, and working in partnership with police. Again, it's always on the side of luck that is the prepared. You want to make sure that those procedures are in place before anything does happen, if anything does happen. Yeah, so that's those are pretty much the main resources. We have another couple of things coming out soon. We have a risk management guide for people working with children. That's been in development for a while now. It's just had to have a bit of a redo. Hopefully that'll be published when the legislation goes through. And also we have a recruitment guide, a report handling guide, and a child safe policy development guide that'll be coming out. So those guides work very broadly across all the sectors that work with kids in New South Wales. But we'll be looking to probably do some more webinars that will talk about the guides in practice, specifically in sport or in my other portfolio around local government, because you do need that little massaging to get those things to work in practice. So we'll look forward to that, and yeah, we'll let you know when we host any of those as well.
Awesome. So for any of our members online, those links that Harris is talking about will be in your members newsletter later on today. And yeah, thank you, Harris, for updating us. And certainly we'll look forward to receiving those other tools as they come up. And if there's a session that people are interested in that's just dedicated to our industry, maybe we can work with Harris to have that delivered and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, fabulous. Great. Thank you so much again. We have Careers New South Wales with us today, which is exceptionally exciting. When I heard about this program, I was just had to jump on it because we know that as we start getting back to our activities, that we are going to need some what I've been saying, bums in harnesses, and getting our people back into the jobs that they haven't been doing for some time now. And I think this is probably one of the most innovative projects that I've seen in a while, in trying to get people understanding what options are there. So Michele, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you and take us through what this project's all about. You're on mute, darling.
It doesn't click the first three goes. Thank you all for having us. I'm actually going to hand over to Ian Merryfull, who's my manager, and he's got the whole spiel down. So thank you for having us again, and welcome, Ian. And I'm really sad you didn't get the message about your jersey soon enough.
No, that's okay. I don't think I've got one anyway, because as you know, I'm in with the in-laws in lockdown at the moment, so almost all of my clothes are back at my real house, which is good. So you've seen this shirt probably about 100 times over the last 12 weeks. It's my only going out shirt, if that makes sense. Thank you so much for the invitation, Laurie, and everyone else. I'd also like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land. I'm meeting with you on the land of the Bidjigal people in Western Sydney, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and those of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander backgrounds that are with us today. So thank you very much for our invitation. It is a very exciting program that we, Michele and I, are extremely thankful to be part of. It's something relatively new for state government, and it is basically the spiel is that Careers New South Wales is a new service that will be eventually open to all residents of New South Wales, and it will provide them with access to a professional careers advisor, hopefully free of charge. We're still working out what that will be, but it will be access to a professional careers advisor that will be able to advise each individual independently and outside of their employer, outside of their school, outside of their influence network, with that careers advice of what options are available for them to actually fulfill their career potential. So it's really around everybody. It's people that are joining the workforce, it's people that are re-entering the workforce, or it's people that are at a career crossroads or are looking for their next challenge but don't really know how to actually get there. So I actually do have a presentation, but I'm hoping, are you okay if I put it up? I know everyone is deaf by PowerPoint these days. I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
Yep, you have co-host rights, it should be right.
Okay. Now I'm hoping that people are able to see a presentation. Excellent, fantastic. So yeah, Careers New South Wales was really in response to a report that Gonski-Sheargold put out probably earlier in the year. So I think they've been looking at it for over a year, and there were 5 recommendations that came as part of that report, but it was an investigation into the vet sector in New South Wales. One of the recommendations that came out of that report was the establishment of Careers New South Wales. And Careers New South Wales, as I mentioned, was really about providing confidential careers advisors to anyone in the state, and to, I guess, to address some of the concerns and worries around people not getting that confidential advice as they left school, as they progressed through school, through university, or through certain events within their life. So that's what Careers New South Wales was set up to do, and we are about to launch that at the end of this month, actually. So it's very exciting. careers advice is a really packed space. For any of you who have looked at a course, have gone to university, have done any vet, most people, I'm hoping, or most people, I'm assuming, have left school at some stage in their past. And access, there's a whole broad and a plethora of information that's out there for people to have a look at. And I think that's one of the things that Careers New South Wales is looking to address is how do we make sure we have conversations and interactions with people that connects them to the right advice at the right time, rather than spending a lot of time, angst and confusion connecting yourself with the person who is able to actually help you at that time that you need help. So yeah, the pieces that we are going to cover is that it needs to be accessible. So at least in the pilot, it's going to be over the phone with the intention to roll out, to actually roll this out as face-to-face, as that's the I guess in inverted commas, the best model of what people believe careers advice is. Easy to navigate, and it's accessible for everybody, and it's affordable, so people can actually access it and use it. We're hoping that it's going to it will be connected to industry, so we'll be connected to employers, industry peak bodies, so that we've got a referral network of people, of destinations that we can send people to. So not only just advice, but actually connecting them with that next step. So whether that's training, whether it's fee-free courses, university, or connections with employment agencies or employers that we know are looking for certain skills. It has to be connected and has to meet their needs at the end of the day as well. It's going to be a consistent service. So by being run through the government with contracts in place, we'll be able to deliver a consistently excellent service to anyone that actually calls in as well. So rather than, I guess, the industry taking care of it, taking care of that and providing differing levels of education and service delivery as well. So we're committed to absolutely not duplicating everything that's out there and making it even more confusing. We want to make it relevant for all ages and all cohorts, and we want to make sure that there are those connections for the next step. So as we mentioned, it is going to be a pilot, at least initially, and it is a collaboration. We're doing a collab between three different agencies. So there's the Department of Education, there's the Department of Customer Service, and there's Service New South Wales. So Service New South Wales is going to be taking on the digital front door. So as everyone knows, Service New South Wales is really provides a great and consistent customer journey and customer entryway into government services and breaks down the barriers of departments. Department of Customer Service is doing our procurement, so they're procuring our professional careers advisors, and we will own the service. So Department of Education will actually own the service delivery and delivering the outcomes. We are going to be doing a pilot first, so we're going to be piloting some different models of careers advice, be that I guess career pathing, the skills that you'll need to actually get into your career, and a few other different bits and pieces, and some key ones for culturally appropriate services as well is what we're looking to provide. We are looking to get a pilot out this month, so we are looking to go live late September. This is an old joke that I keep throwing out there, that we're going to be on the 35th of September. Is when we're going live, but I believe it will be within the normal days of September, close to the end. Then we'll prepare an overall business case, and then we'll actually go out statewide when we get the funding for the statewide rollout. As we mentioned, there is a pilot, and this is actually being done in 4 key locations, being Penrith, Liverpool, Coffs Harbour, and Armidale, and we are focusing, at least in the initial trial, based on when we did our statistics about the particular cohorts of people and industries that have either skill shortages or high unemployment, we are focusing our pilot on addressing the needs of particular population sets and also particular employers as well. So that's where our pilot locations are. So we are focusing on cold and Indigenous in each of the locations, and specifically women in construction as well, and targeting those industries over on the right-hand side. So construction, healthcare, disability and aged care, and retail trade in certain different locations as well, which is actually quite good, because I've just seen a federal campaign recently about trying to drive people into the care, aged care and disability sectors just recently in the news as well. So that's fantastic. We can leverage off that together. So this is a very quick overview of what we believe the journey will be for a service user or customer or client, depending on which word you want to use, is that I guess they'll understand what their need is. They'll come into the front door, which could be a number of service points. So either a walk-in through a Service New South Wales shop front, over the phone to the Service New South Wales number, over the website, which is what we're hoping most of it will be. They'll complete an assistance finder or a few questions about themselves to actually discover what their need is. And I think if you've ever been to Service New South Wales website, it's a series of questions that then gives you all of the things that, based on your responses, all of the things that the state government can help you out with. Careers New South Wales will now be one of those destination points. After you've gone through that, if you are in our pilot areas, you will be provided the opportunity to talk to a careers advisor, speak with an industry expert, or go through and make a skills hub booking. So a skills hub booking is something that's been around since the start of COVID, and that's a 45-minute session with someone who can help guide you on what vet and university courses you need if you know where you're going. But as we said, there's those cohort of people, I guess we call them personas, of people being completely unsure about what they want to do and where they want to go, versus those that have some idea in their mind, and people that actually know what they want to do. They just need the courses. So those destinations will be based on our perceived need of what you're looking for. We will connect with other state and federal initiatives in the careers space, including the National Careers Institute. If you've ever heard of those guys, they've got their own, a few different other services as well, primarily focused at the moment on 18 to 24, 16 to 24-year-olds. So they've got a school leaver information service, which we can also refer to. But there is that gap in the marketplace of all ages, all service types, and all requirements to shift, change, move your career. The key one that I really wanted to talk about is, and the key part of our ecosystem of what we're providing to our customers is we are engaging with volunteers as part of the service. That is, can you hold on 1 second, sorry.
Always handy when the phone rings.
Who even has a house phone anymore? I haven't been.
I know, I'm impressed.
I'm with the in-laws at the moment, and unfortunately, I didn't even realise they had a home phone either. So there you go. Or even how to turn it off. Clearly, I just actually answered the phone and then just hung up on them. So I have this feeling that phone is just about to ring in about 2 seconds.
There you go. While Ian's doing that, is there any questions at the moment? Because I think this is it's a lot of content, and it's just awesome the way it's been set up and what's hoped from it. But any questions that people may have at this point that maybe Michelle or Ian can address?
I am back. Sorry about that again.
That's all right. Well, good. Feel free to stick your hand up if you want to. But yeah, Ian, if you want to keep going, go for it.
All right, Brad, so as I mentioned, the key part of the service will be volunteers, and they're going to be some, I guess, some high-level ambassadors that will promote and raise awareness the service, and they're all, I guess, they're CEOs of companies in targeted industries that we're looking at, and people that are well known within within their industries and within the public sphere. Then we're also looking at, I guess, what we call the micro influencers, or our marketing team would call them micro influencers. And they're going to be people that are well known within the target cohorts that we're looking at and within those target industries. So to really connect with the people that we want to be calling the service and connecting with the service. So less so though, you know, the figureheads and I guess, you know, they're typically on paper very accomplished people. These are people that are really well known within their industry and really will drive probably most people to connect to the service. And then the second tier is industry experts. So people that are, as we're talking about, have a lot of experience in their industry, enjoy being mentors or enjoy being people that are passionate. So they're really passionate about their industry and they want people to join and be part of it. So we are looking for industry experts to join up and be connected with prospective people who want to join the industry or upskill within that industry as well, so that they've got someone to talk about and say, hey, and listen, it's not career advice. It's really about what do you really actually enjoy about your industry? What did you do to get to where you are? And here's my lived experience within that industry. So that's probably going to be one real call out that we do have, is that if you are interested in being a volunteer, to reach out and provide feedback or join up to talk to someone.
Just on that, Ian, that's a really important element. And I suppose, as I put in the chat, certainly I put my name forward, but you know, obviously I cover the whole sector, but it'd be great to have specialists in areas of the outdoors to get involved in this. And the commitment is, Michelle, I can't remember what I've committed to. Is it an hour? Yeah, it's an hour a month.
An hour a month, yeah, but whatever you can give, Laurie. And it'll also be driven a little bit by our clients as well, the online clients. So we'll create a persona for you on the website that people can see. And if what you're doing sings to their heart, then they'll make a booking with you.
Yep, beautiful. So if anyone's interested, yeah, please reach out to Michelle or Ian through the chat box.
So and that's it. It will be absolutely up to the individual. It's anywhere between even if it's one session a month, one phone call. You know, that's great. Could be up to 3 or 4. We're not really sure. This is brand new for us, brand new for the department. A lot of us haven't run or worked with volunteers in an official capacity on a service. I know I haven't. I've been a volunteer, but I've never had volunteers in my service. So it's all brand new for us as well. So yeah, so we're yet to see how that's going to roll out and work as well. So it's all very exciting for everyone. They're just some key dates. So we're just in the middle of finalising our agreements with our external careers advisors, our professionals, and looking forward to onboarding those in the next couple of weeks with the view to go live on the round. I think it's on the 29th of September. So it's a Wednesday, assuming that we're ready to go. We're still deciding if we'll be ready, but we won't launch unless we know that we're going to give a great service at the end of it.
Yeah, we just had a question in the chat from Rob. Has there got any connection or link with the New South Wales Employment Task Force that was announced around a year ago?
Ooh, not that I know of. I know I'm not connected to that task force, but I can actually ask some questions about it. Yeah, but we're not technically connected to that task force at the moment.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, we should be probably. Thank you. I'm going to write that down.
Rob, where was do you remember what department that was announced through, or was it just a media release? I know he's on the beach because I saw him on the beach.
It was sectioned up into 10 government areas. I think the chairman of it is the boss of the ETC in Coffs Harbour, from memory. I have corresponded with him, but I don't know. They were calling at the time. They were calling for board members or people to be on it. They wanted a half a dozen per region, and there were 10 or 12 regions across New South Wales to implement things. And I didn't see it go any further. But yeah, I think it's the lady. There's a lady. I could probably get a name, but it's. I think it was an employment agency in Coffs Harbour. I think it was ETC.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just do some investigations. Thanks for that. Yeah, and it's. I think listen, and I think that's the key call out is that it's not just about, and this is a new area for me as well. It's not just about employment agencies, and it's not just that. That's not the only piece. It is. I guess if you looked at thinking about a series of steps of careers from learning all the way through school, learning skills, knowledge, ways of working. It is around that independence of what does the individual want? What are their values? What are their skills? What are their competencies? And breaking that down. And yes, there is an element of what's the job for now and what are the steps to get to my dream job. But I think that was a hard piece for me to get my head around as well, is not just about that last step, which is the employment opportunities. It's about everything that leads you up to that, and step changing up to your next piece of your next career or your next challenge. Yeah, it was hard for me to get my head around it. I still don't even know if I have got my head around it, to be completely honest. But getting there. We do have a website that is open, so the New South Wales government does consult with everybody on a lovely website or web system called Have Your Say, and Careers New South Wales is open for consultation at the moment, where we're asking people if they've got any ideas that they want us to make sure that we look at as we go through our design. And there's the opportunity to do a survey about what's important in careers advice. Any ideas that you've got, ability to get involved and sign up to be a volunteer. You can ask some questions that we'll be doing a response on, and we'll be providing regular updates on our progress as we go through. So if you've got time and you are interested in helping to shape the future of this service, then jump online. There's a link up the top of that screen, and I will provide a copy of this presentation to Laurie as well. Any questions?
You must be really describing it well. There you go. And Rob's just put in the chat the link about the employment task force there for you as well. Yeah. No questions from anyone on the program or anything that's relevant? Michelle, I've just put that chat into everyone, that comment that you've just done. Yep, that'd be great. So that's the link in case anyone wants to put their feedback in. How does it sound from everyone's perspective? I know everyone's struggling in contemplating the future of getting the jobs back in, but certainly I know that in speaking with some of you who I can see on screen now, we've got to get the next phase of our cohort, our staff through and seeing that this is a career option for us. So any comment?
I think that's a good initiative that the outdoor industry in New South Wales needs to support, and probably encourage other governments across the country to do a similar thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, I've been through career transitions myself, and you know, not everyone. You know, I was lucky enough to get outplacement services in when I was transitioned. Not everyone's lucky enough to get that opportunity. And you know, industries closed down. You know, and it's just as important. It was just important for everyone. You know, from entry level positions. You know, when stores closed down in regional areas, and everyone that's associated with that store, you know, being able to go, well, what's next for me? You know, people don't have the capacity or even lived experience that I may have had as a middle manager to be able to hopefully make some informed decisions. So that's where I think the value of this service comes in. But it's not just for disadvantaged people or people that aren't. It's for everyone. And that's the key piece, is that everyone can get some value out of this service, even if it's just a, you know, how do I become the CEO, or I want to run my own business. I feel like I've been running someone else's business for, you know, for 5 years as a senior, whatever you are. I don't know how to start my own business, but I'm really keen to. And that's where you start going. That's where they'll help to take you through that journey, connect you with other help that you need to take that next step. So it's going to be a really, I'm really excited to watch it grow.
Yeah, I know I'm a bit jealous in the fact that, you know, people have access to something like this that we never had. And we stumbled through career after career, just finding our little niche.
Parents, friends, mentors, you know, and that's the piece. This is, it separates that emotion, hopefully the emotion from it, and really will help you listen and go, well, this person's got no vested interest there. You know, they don't have 65 jobs at the end that they're trying to pigeonhole me into. It's what do I want?
Yeah, absolutely. So just obviously on this topic and understanding some of the challenges we're about to face, I just want to share with everyone what we've been doing to support not only this initiative, but just employment in general. And if you haven't seen our new website, it's still work in progress. We're migrating the old website slowly over to the new one, and this is obviously the current site. But you can certainly point any of people that you talk to in interest to our page, which is about work in the outdoors. And you might remember that I've shown you on previous sessions about the content on the Facebook page, and certainly pushing a lot of the opportunities that are in the outdoors onto that Facebook page. But this website is starting to provide a little bit more content and resource and tools for all of you to use. And please feel free to share amongst yourselves. This week, we added this video. So I thought if it's okay with everyone, we'll just quickly show this so that you get a bit of a flavour for some of the content that you can actually that gives you a bit of a flavour to some of the stuff that we're trying to build for you. So available to all members is the option of contacting us and saying, I want our badge on that, I want our logo on that, and we will input that in and deliver you your own video to use in your social media. So please, if it's something that you really would like to have, yell and we'll certainly do it. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is the industry resources section, and particularly at the moment we're trying to advocate obviously getting people back out there and to our schools to look at the risk management as they come back to face-to-face learning, and how we can get outdoor education as part of that consideration. So we've produced a 2-page document which just highlights the benefits of outdoor education from previous studies and the most recent studies that we have access to around, what they do provide. So this document you can download off the website and share with your schools if they feel that they need to justify to powers of be in getting back to their outdoor education programs. Again, if you want this badged with your own organisation, please give us a call and we will certainly do that for you, so that you can send it as something from your organisation and not just from us. So hopefully that certainly goes some way to helping with some of the discussions you're having. If you've got other ideas how we can support you in this and getting people into your business, I know a lot of you online looking around, you've got some traineeships on offer. If you need support in any of that, please reach out and let us know so we can provide the tools and resources that will help. But for Michele and Ian's sake, you can certainly tell them some of the gaps, and I've already indicated to them that we've lost around about 25% of our workforce as soon as the borders shut internationally from our visa holders. So we know that we're playing catch up already. But thank you guys for being with us today. We can't thank you enough for bringing this program to us and allowing the outdoors to be part of it.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you for having us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And any other further questions quickly for Michele or Ian before we wrap up today? They're either totally consumed by it or they've gone and got coffees and they're not there. So I don't know which one. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for another Connect and Share on a Friday. Please join us at 4 o'clock for happy hour. Some of the ideas that you've seen today have been generated through those happy hours, so they don't go to waste. We just have a great chat, a great brainstorm, and over a drink or two, whether you like non-alcoholic or alcoholic, we don't mind. And yeah, you can join us at 4 o'clock every Friday for those sessions. But until then, we'll see you next Friday, where we're going to have the same department where Michele and Ian are from, but they're going to be talking to us about workforce development and some of the projects that are existing in the New South Wales government that we can take advantage of to improve our workforce. So look forward to delivering that next Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone, and a great week ahead.
Thank you very much.